I think you all have literally no idea how the government works, is what I actually
do.
I do.
Let me just tell you about me.
I'm gonna let you finish, but I want to answer this.
I'm not talking about how you feel. I'm talking about how I feel. Me, a black woman in this country.
Let her finish.
Okay,
let her finish.
I got a lot of Come on. You can't deny her saying.
And of course, this panel got heated with America's new favorite racial slur, DEI. Let's go ahead and get into it, y'all. What's up, everyone? It's your boy AT2 here. And yes, we are going to talk about the CNN panel. They actually split it up in two different videos. So one is just going to be about Trump and his cabinet picks. And then two, Ashley Allison really goes into her experience in the workforce and how she's not paid equally to her counterparts, even though she has the most education. So we're going to go ahead and get into all of that. But first, let's start out with this video. Are DEI initiatives necessary in 2025? Let's go ahead and get into it.
A cabinet that has perhaps more Fox hosts than people who
you know what makes
people of color.
Yes. No, don't do it. Let her finish.
And I would just ask Scott, if race is not the issue, then why is DEI mentioned every single day as a solution to every single problem that faces this?
Because of how pervasive.
America's new racial slur. That's what I call it. DEI. Just like woke, just like CRT, critical race theory, all that. Yeah.
Pervasive it is.
And
how hateful it is to an actual conservative ideological view.
But do you think it is true that all of America's ills, from the plane crash to whatever it is, wildfires, due to DEI for real?
I think that if you believe in the fundamental principle of America, which is that we guarantee everybody an equal chance, not an equal outcome, but an equal chance, then trying to go around that principle, conservatives don't believe in it. And most people who believe in America don't believe in it.
I think a lot of people, well, let me just put it out there. I think a lot of white people feel we live in a post-racial society where everybody is treated equal because technically they don't have to walk a mile in a person of color's shoes. So they don't really know. However, no one has actually explained to them, AKA they haven't experienced any kind of discrimination. So they really don't know. So when they see anything that benefits majority of other people, they feel, oh, wait, they can't get no advantage. I had to work hard, blah, blah, blah. And granted, you might have worked hard, but that doesn't mean that the person of color doesn't have any qualifications for the job. Like DEI doesn't excuse you from having qualifications.
Number one. Number two, the concept of not hiring the best person for the job in government or anywhere else has been repeatedly rejected by the American people, the Supreme Court, and everything else. And so
what do you get? So I guess what I'm saying is, like, if that is the case, then people are questioning the actual qualifications of many people Donald Trump hired for jobs.
Yeah.
So do you think that he actually...
Why?
Because Elon Musk doesn't even go here.
Do you think that he... why. This is the question people are asking. This is the question that Ryan Clark just asked. Did Donald Trump, for Health and Human Services, find the person with the best expertise to...
No. Donald Trump picked people that was loyal to him. That's all you needed. Just be loyal to Trump and you get what you want.
This is not a.
When it comes to the Department of Defense, did he find the person with the best expertise to address those issues, or did he just find people who he liked?
Political appointees have one qualification. They serve at the pleasure of the president because the president believes that person's going to best carry out their agenda. That is the only qualification.
And to protect and defend the Constitution.
And that is the only.
And they work for the people. They work for the people. Let's stress that again. They work for the people, not for the president.
only qualification for a political appointee.
Competency doesn't matter.
Of course they're
Of
competent. Of course he believes they're
not.
competent.
Of course
If he didn't believe they were competent, he wouldn't appoint them.
You're not being fair with that. You're not being fair with that response. She asked you a very simple question, yes or no. Look at the appointees. Do you believe DEI had anything to do with those appointees? Do you believe they were qualified? Do you think they would protect and defend the Constitution that represents all of the people of the United States of America?
I think Mark Rubio.
I think you all have literally no idea how the government works, is what I actually
do.
I do.
I at a higher level than anyone.
Notice he avoided that question.
Here, a couple people at this table have served in the government.
Yeah, me too.
Including for this former president.
I just want to say that I think the premise that DEI exists and therefore the people that got the opportunity, perhaps because of DEI, are not qualified is a flawed premise.
Correct.
And I think that is what is so frustrating about the argument around DEI. We know in this country historically, and even today, there are still injustices in this country based on race, based on gender, based on ideology.
Based on who your daddy played
golf with. Yes.
Okay, that happens every single day. We know that.
But it happens every single day all over the planet.
That's
the planet Earth. It is human nature. It is human. Every.
Notice how basically he tries to pacify it as the whole world is like this. Okay, well, that's nice for the whole world, but we talk about America. We talking about this country right now, not the whole world.
And we're the best at it. We're the best at trying to.
Donald Trump's our president.
Arthur, I guess that's exactly my point. I agree with you. I think that it is true that there have been preferences not for merit since the dawn of time. And that in this country right now, the same people who are going after DEI, which is about giving opportunities to people who have been historically marginalized, are just as willing to hire their friends.
Is that what equity means?
Exactly. That's the thing. People are more inept to hire people that look like them. That's the honest truth. You're going to hire the person that looks like you. They're not going to look at, this person has more education, and maybe that is something that they do consider, but most of the time they're going to hire the person that they feel more comfortable with. They're going to hire who looks like them. It's a fact. If you look at how many in upper leadership and CEOs, about 88% of CEOs are all white. Now, are you telling me that only white people are qualified to be CEOs? No, it's just that they don't look at anybody else but the white ones. They look at who may, and trust me, with a lot of these VP, senior VP CEOs, these are people that know each other, and they'll be like, hey, I know this person from this company, hire them. And more than likely, that person looks just like them.
Giving opportunity or guaranteeing outcome?
It's giving access.
Because that's what equity means.
It's
a difference. There's a difference between equality and equity.
No, it's giving access.
I just want to answer his question because I
Wouldn't
think this
talent
is super,
and hard work
Scott,
give you
I think
access?
this is incredibly important for you to understand and for everybody to understand at home, okay? This is where I think we go crossways on this issue. You just asked the question, what does equity mean? Does it mean equality or does it mean access to opportunities? And conservatives want to define it a particular way, but you have to acknowledge, I'm asking you to acknowledge that people who believe in DEI.
One thing I hate about conservatives is this whole culture war that they're trying to start. Well, not trying, they're successful at it because right now they control everything in the White House, the Senate, the Congress. So yeah, they won, right? But more importantly, this culture war that they're trying to put out there, like, all these others are getting the jobs and we're not getting anything. This is the reason why we're not successful or we don't have any money, or they try to blame it on people of color or marginalized groups, right? However, the white workforce has not gone down. Like the labor force is still 60% white. Like it's not like there's a high percentage of white unemployment. This is a culture war that they're trying to start to blame, they want to blame the others, that we're not successful because of these others are here. And if they weren't here or they didn't have these special programs like affirmative action or DEI, we would be better off. And that's not true. You just need to work a little harder.
DEI do not define it that way. They do not define it as equality.
I think they define it as trying to guarantee outcomes, and I think they define it as trying to punish people they don't like.
Scott, that's
wrong race, wrong
Speaking
gender.
for more of the middle of the country who's not hyper-partisan on this issue, I think that people generally think diversity is a virtue. It makes businesses better. It makes institutions better. But they also don't like when you have companies or organizations that are spending huge amounts of money to stand up DEI office. As an example, Fairfax County Public Schools, $400,000 spent on a DEI office, but kids are not reading at the levels that they should. They're not advancing at the levels that they should. It's not the issue
But were
of
they
diversity.
doing that before the office was stood up?
Well, no, and probably not. And so I'm not saying the connection.
Ashley got her with that one. Like, that's the thing. Like, you're talking about, oh, they're spending this money and resource on that. Well, how do you know that that program had anything to do why the kids can't read? More than likely, it's probably that the money that's coming in from taxes is not going to rebuilding or investing in education. We know that education is a huge problem in this country. We don't invest in it at all.
So maybe implementing DEI might actually help people.
But it's not an argument against DEI. It's how much of our resources are we actually putting?
But that's not that's not the way the conversation is being posed in America today. The conversation about DEI and woke and all of that sounds about marginalized Black and brown people who already are threatened seem to be threatened in this community, in this society, and they're not getting the same opportunities. It was the same thing with affirmative action. Went to UCLA, they got rid of affirmative action. Everyone said you got in because of affirmative action. When I graduated, affirmative action didn't take my test. Affirmative action didn't help me get to where I'm at today. It gave me access that I didn't have based on the opportunity that I lacked because of the.
Right. It gives you access. It doesn't mean that you basically, I can't be a heart surgeon. I didn't go to school to be a heart surgeon. I also didn't finish college, but I didn't go to school to be a heart surgeon. I can't go in there and start operating on people. They would not hire me. But if there was a Black person who went to school to be a heart surgeon and they had good grades, they passed all their tests, then more than likely they would get hired for that job because they have the qualifications. Somebody can't go and be a heart surgeon that has no qualifications at all. So the argument about DEI is that people who are not qualified are getting the jobs, and that is not true. So I'm happy that she said that. Shout out to Carrie for that one. So now I want to go ahead and pull this video up. This is where Ashley Allison actually gets into talking about her experience. So let me go ahead and pull this up right now. I'll end this one. All right, here we go.
Right now is we live in different realities.
That's right.
I live in a reality where I know I do not have the same opportunity as you. I know I don't.
And you know
and
that
I know
too.
what, Scott.
I got it. And you know that.
Let me just tell you about me.
I'm gonna let you finish, but I want to answer this.
I'm not talking about how you feel. I'm talking about how I feel. Me, a Black woman in this country.
But not in this city.
And I will run. And if you
look, I'm a New Yorker, not in this city. You cannot say that. You can't say that in this city.
I'm not talking about New York. I'm talking about Ashley Allison.
Okay.
You know, it's crazy how defensive he was getting. And like, I'm all like, well, first of all, and I'm glad Scott, even though I don't like Scott, at least he said, like, let her finish. Because she was getting ready to say something. He's like, oh, not in this city. Well, okay, New York is very diverse. We know that. However, we're talking about the scope of the whole country, not just New York.
Right here. I got a law degree, a master's, and 2 bachelors. Probably more education than all of y'all added up together at this table, right? And I have always been the least paid person on payroll at every institution I have worked in. And it's not
even in the White House?
Even in the White House.
Well, whose fault is that? I don't think he worked for George W. or Trump.
Well, guess what? What happened when I was there? DEI.
And you know what the funny part is? Like, we don't even talk about equal pay. Like, yeah, on the pay scale, it is, you know, white men are up here, everybody else is below. And also, too, I know there was people when I worked in a normal 9 to 5. I wasn't always a YouTuber. There was people who came after I did, who started after me and was making more money than I did. And necessarily, would I try to put up a fight? No, because I wasn't supposed to know what their salary is. It's not that you can't share what your salary is. It's just that your job doesn't want you to know, because then that starts conflict, because it's all like, well, this person's making more and they started after me. I know I should be making more than them. But again, whew, I'm gonna have to tell y'all about my jobs and stuff like that I had before.
Scott,
I'm ahead, Scott.
look,
No,
You're my friend. I respect you tremendously. I think you're probably the smartest operative in the Democratic Party, and they should listen to you more. That's number one. Number two, you and I share a comparable background. We're both from the Midwest. We both come from middle-class families, lower middle-class families, maybe. I actually think we share a lot of similarities in our journey. But I think you made it, and you are the most respected voice often at every room or every table you're in, not because of anything other than your talent and your work ethic. And that's.
But she's talking about getting paid fairly. Like, that's great to be acknowledged. We all love being acknowledged, right? But show me that money. That's how you really acknowledge me, by showing me that money.
All anybody ever is asking for is for people with talent and work ethic to make it. And that's what I see in you. That's how I see you.
But let me tell you something about my story and my family story, is that we have faced discrimination. I have faced I just said I was the least paid person, even in this moment sometimes, to my counterparts.
Now, I wonder how much they make on CNN. And I kind of always thought, because, you know, Abby just recently got this job with CNN Newsnight. And I wonder, well, shit, is Abby paid less than the other people? It's a fair question, right?
It is just the reality of the country we live in. And I'm not saying, I do believe I'm qualified. I know I'm qualified. You won't ever tell me I'm not qualified. But the system that I live in doesn't matter about my qualifications.
I don't agree, because
in 2025.
Oh,
I don't think we're there in 2025.
You can't go on
That's just not true. That's just not
I
true.
don't even know this guy's name, but he's irritating as hell. I don't even know his, like, he literally, and you just think, like, too, because I live in California, right? You guys all know I live in the Bay, but it's always this thing like, oh, California is so liberal, New York is so liberal. No, there's ignorant people that live here. Like, don't ever think that, oh, everybody's all liberal. You know, it's a whole bunch of white people with purple and blue hair and they hug. No. It's not like that. It has its conservative parts. Like, on a macro, it might seem California is very liberal, but in pockets and certain areas, very conservative, believe it or not.
True.
There is a mountain of evidence that suggests that you are wrong. Okay, let's just take Ashley.
I'm a New Yorker, so I'm jaded. I am the Attorney General is a black woman. The mayor's a black man. The head of the Senate is a black man.
And just because there's a few black people in positions of power don't mean anything. Just like when Barack Obama won the presidency, oh, racism is over. We've had a black president. Okay, 1 out of now 47 presidents. Come on.
New York is a small representation.
Well, small. New York is not
that
that
small.
America. Let me just talk. Let me talk about
every judge I appear before is either a woman or a person of color.
Ashley just gave an anecdote, but the numbers also show Black women are one of the most educated demographics in this country and one of the least paid. Why would that make any sense?
Why would that make any sense? And don't talk to me about the judges you stand before. Talk to me about the theory. Talk to me about the world in which we live in.
Let's look at the United States Supreme Court. How can you say we're not going to look at that from the top to the bottom? And I'm talking about the legal system.
New York is a more progressive. And we just got a black woman.
Hold up. Let me.
We just got a black woman on the
We got a black man from the 70s.
You brought up the Supreme Court.
Or the 60s.
One.
Did you know, Arthur, that there are
hold on. What percentage of it does it?
I think Clarence Thomas got nominated in the 90s, right? In the 90s, when Clarence Thomas went into the I was still a kid.
Represented the United States of America.
Why does it matter?
Why
we
is
gotta
it
go
so
by
hard?
numbers?
Why is it so hard
we
to
gotta
acknowledge what she just said?
Why
Why
is
is
it
it so
so
Why
hard?
is it just
of
one?
justice?
Why is there only one Italian
No,
American?
but
Abby need to control her panel. And then notice he said, why is there only one Italian American? Shut up. Shut up. These MAGA pundits are irritating as hell.
why is it so hard for you to acknowledge what she just said about Black women being the most educated?
I did acknowledge it. I said that's
And
not my experience.
Okay, but because you're not a
more
Black woman.
No, I'm a New Yorker, and
But
that's
New
not
York
the way
is
it
not
is in New
representative
York.
of the rest
You're
of America.
correct.
That's
You
also
are
what
correct.
It's also the most diverse.
Right.
Well, that's exactly.
Like,
So of
why
course
wouldn't
there's
it
more
be? I think it's a
representation
little
in
more
women.
representative.
And Scott, I think if you really see, you said something very beautiful. This is your friend. You guys share a lot of the same values. You guys think alike. You guys are literally friends off air. You text, you have good conversations. There is the yes and in that. There is something that says to me that you know what she's saying is true. You think she's smart. You know that she's smart. She's more educated than mostly everyone at this table. And so what she's saying isn't a lie. What she's saying is a real life experience. And so why is it so hard to understand why something like diversity, equity, inclusion needs to be a part of?
You know, it's always tough when you have these conversations with people who don't see it your way, and you explain it, you break it down in a way that's digestible, and then you be like, okay, they get it, they understand. And then you might hear them on social media or talking to somebody else, and they say the complete opposite. And it's all like, okay, you weren't really listening to me. You're not listening to understand, you're listening to respond.
Of what we do in a system that never even acknowledged a group of people, never saw us as a human commodity, just literally never noticed who we were. And now here we are years later asking for some simple rights, some simple civility. She's asking to be paid like you get paid. She's asking to be acknowledged like you get acknowledged. And she knows that that is not the case because she is a Black woman.
She had a high-ranking position in the White House of the United States of America.
Dear friend,
she was one of the most celebrated political operatives in the country.
Do you know how hard I had?
He's still avoiding it because I believe that he might make more money than her. And so he's talking about all of her accomplishments instead of talking about the issue. Like, she's not paid the same as other people, even though she does the same amount of work and might even have more education. She's not paid the same.
To work to get that.
Do you know how hard? Do you know how hard the son of a garbage man had to work at it? So I'm just telling you.
I'm not saying that, but
talent, and work ethic are everything. And that's why I think you're here.
It's not true. It's just not true. It's just not true.
The other thing is the access to opportunity is. I know you don't want to think that is true, but access to opportunity is what DEI is supposed to address. And not just when it comes to race, although race is important, but when it comes to women, when it comes to people with disabilities, when it comes to people from different socioeconomic brackets, from rural parts of the country.
I think that's the biggest issue. There's different socioeconomic brackets.
So now
more
we're
than
trying
race
to
and gender.
we're trying to say that everything is equal just because I say it is, even though all the evidence.
Who said everything is equal?
Well, that's literally we're already living in a meritocratic society, is what Scott and his colleagues want to say, when that's actually factually not true.
Do you not think everything is equal?
But I think it's
right. And you know, when people speak about DEI, and let me just speak from a Black perspective, because I hear the argument that, oh, DEI isn't really for us, it doesn't matter, blah blah blah, it didn't really help us because we only reap like 3% of the benefit. But here's the thing, just like the Equal Employment Opportunity Act, like, these things need to be put into writing, because companies will just do whatever they want to. Like, there needs to be laws put into place, because inherently these people that are making the decisions at these companies will not do the right thing. So this is why everything needs to be put into law. Yes, we might not have, and talking about Black people, we might not have reaped all the benefits of these civil rights and everything like that. However, if we did not have that, we would definitely have no opportunity at all. Let's just put that out there. But I'm going to go ahead and stop the video right there. You guys can go ahead and check it out. I'll put the links to the videos. But I just found it very interesting, the whole conversation. And again, this DEI stuff has been used as a racial slur in this country, and it's very sad. Just because somebody might have got got access to an opportunity or a job does not mean they weren't qualified. And let's be honest, do they really have to tell you like, oh, we hired this person for DEI? Maybe that person just got the job because they got the job. Let me tell you something about being Black and working. You know how you're on that 90-day probation? When you Black, you on a probation the whole time you at the job. And before you even got that job, they made sure that you knew that job frontwards and backwards. You didn't have the time to, oh, I'm going to pick up on, no. You needed to pick up on that job as soon as you got through the door, because as soon as you messed up, they're going to be like, oh, that's why we don't really hire, they don't really last too long here. I remember when I worked at one job, like I was the only Black person there, and they was like, well, Black people don't really last too long here. And it was like those attitudes that let me know, oh, I see why Black people don't last too long here, because I had to deal with a lot of BS. But again, I'm going to tell y'all one day about my jobs that I had and all the work history. So we'll get into that in another video, but please let me know what you thought about this discussion. I know DEI has been a hot topic. Let me know what you guys think. But other than that, y'all, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Deuces, everybody. But we out.